Welcome to Rockstar Doctor Life. I'm Melissa Longo. As a chiropractor, I believe we have the profound ability to impact our communities and people's health on a global level, while also enjoying rich and rewarding personal lives and giving attention to the things that matter to us. Each week, you'll hear an inspiring conversation to give you ideas and insights to rock your practice, pursue your passions, find more connection and meaning in your life, and create a life and business that works for you. Hey there, listeners. I am thrilled once again to introduce you to an amazing chiropractor and mom and someone who is doing some great things within our profession. So I'm looking forward to this chat today, and it's Dr. Cyndy Elwart Shaft-Toll who's with me. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. This is really a kind of a fun thing to do with you. So we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm really excited we got connected.
Yeah, sometimes when you're juggling, your life as in business, as a mom, as doing all the other things you're doing professionally with the Women Chiropractors group, it can be tough to find time, but I'm glad we did line this up, and I have no doubt that the information we're going to talk about today will benefit lots of people listening. So before we jump into some of the questions I have for you today, I think it's always a great to have people start with, just give us a snapshot of where are you at right now with your life? What is Dr. Cyndy doing with practice, with your family? Give us kind of a snapshot.
I am in hyper busy mode. I'm a mom of 7. I've got 8 grandkids right now. So I have been in practice for a long time. 37 years ago, I graduated from Palmer. So Women Chiropractors, I just told someone, is ferociously growing fast. It's growing so quickly. We are just trying to keep up with it to really meet the need out there. I practice part-time. I have an associate that works with me on the other days in practice. And right now I'm just trying to do everything that I can to help this mission go forward in a really great way.
Mm-hmm. Why did you get the Women Chiropractors group going? I mean, let's talk about why you felt there was a need and how you got it off the ground, because that's not an easy feat.
Well, I am one of 22 chiropractors in 3 generations, and my dad actually had a home office, my mom and dad together. And so my mom was the office manager, and I went in as, oh my gosh, 13 years old. I was working at the front office. And what was going on there was I was learning at the time what the difference was between people's perception of chiropractic. At that time, I heard a lot of, your dad's a quack, your dad's a quack. And my dad took me to tons and tons of seminars. Our family went to seminars all the time. And I got to sit in the back of them and hear some of the greats of the profession speak. And it inspired me to become a chiropractor at a young age. And so when I went to chiropractic college, I kind of had the same vision that my life would look very similar to what I grew up with. And I ended up marrying someone I met at DE. And we went to chiropractic college together, and we had kids together. But I found out that my role as a woman chiropractor was very different than what the male chiropractors were. And so as I went on through my life and had children and learned the struggles of being pregnant and being out with nursing and having the deals with childcare and all those wonderful things with it, especially being a mom. I mean, being a mom is just like the best thing ever. I love being a mom, and wanting to be the best mom ever and balancing my love of chiropractic was a whole different world for me. So I ended up like trying to figure out my own way, and really there was very few active women chiropractors at that time, even in my own family. So eventually at some point I got divorced, and it was a very difficult thing for me and my family. And I ended up having to take over our practice that was in very, very poor shape. And this was during a depression in the Detroit area. I know the rest of the country had a recession, but Detroit had a depression by all statistics. And so it was pretty horrible at that time. My kids were hurting. I was hurting. I was left with a huge amount of debt. Things didn't look very well for me. And so I was looking for other women chiropractors that were in kind of the same position I was in, to see if maybe we could just have alliances, because I think a lot of people just didn't get me and what was going on. The one thing I did remember from growing up that was a really helpful thing was when my dad and my mom first started with practice and everything. They went to Parker Seminar, and the one thing Parker's told them to do that they all listened to was to go out and meet with other chiropractors who are successful in the community and find out what worked for them and ask, share your lives together in fellowship. And that was a really great idea because I really got to witness the birth of a bunch of things in my childhood because I saw chiropractic really start growing in Michigan back in the late 60s, early 70s as a small child. And I knew that worked, but the problem was trying to find a female chiropractor that was in the same position. So I actually found Barbara Eaton and we started hanging out together. She had 2 kids, and then I coached with her for a while, and she was helpful with that. And then I found some other women chiropractor girlfriends that we spent some time with, and I had a couple cousins that are women chiropractors. And so that really was the impetus to do this. And so with all this extra help that I had, I realized there's other people in my position, I'm not just doing this myself. And so I thought, okay, I'm successfully able to rebuild this practice. I literally remember a time when I only had maybe $20 to my name that I could have it, and that didn't count the hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt that I was stuck in. But I mean, literally, when $20 is a lot of money to you, you spend it very, very carefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the practice doubled and doubled and doubled with me there, and I thought, you know what? I know I'm not the only person. I'm going to reach out. And so I started teaching at the Michigan Association of Chiropractors. And so I started presenting the amazing balancing act of the woman chiropractor. And there was literally nothing out there on the internet or anything that I could find about it. And I had learned all sorts of adaptive adjusting techniques and things like that. But the response I got was overwhelming from those classes that I was teaching. And the women were contacting me. I probably got over half of the class to contact me within the next 2 years. I mean, I gave them my information. It wasn't like me contacting them. They were contacting me, asking me questions, asking me advice. And so I realized that I could start a Facebook group, although I had no idea how to do that at all. And so one of my friends was a young graduate from life, and so she knew how to start the Facebook group. So I told her everything I wanted to write in it, all the description of the group. And so her and Nancy Elwart Cooper and I all started it together. And so we started the Facebook group, and then we added 30 of our best friends who added 30 of their friends and who started 30 more of their friends. What was interesting was how the thing started to just blossom and mushroom, and it just started to take off virally. And I've heard that question over and over again about how did the group grow so big? Because now we're pushing 7,000 heavily vetted women chiropractors and women chiropractic students. And that vetting process is really a big deal for us because the quality of what we want in there, we want only women chiropractors and women chiropractic students. So we not only ask for their license and MPI number, we also take a look on their Google. We Google them. We also look at their Facebook page. So we want to know who's who and if they really are doctors. So
have you
so
unfortunately had moments where you had people who had less genuine interests wanting to try to infiltrate your group?
Oh, absolutely. We had a troll moment.
Huh.
Yeah, we had a troll moment, and so we absolutely went in there and found the troll and took the troll out. The troll didn't think that they could have gotten found out, but they were.
Wow.
So anyway, well, and because women share things that they don't want to share with other women, women unless they're chiropractors, they don't want to tell them, things of their lives that are maybe more intimate, or just if your staff is sitting there and you're saying, I'm struggling with this issue, or, I'm really, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me with this thing or that thing or the other thing? And so What we were, so that's why we're super careful about that. But
Right.
the group has grown just incredibly fast. And then we got to a certain point where I realized this is a movement here. And so we applied for a 501c3 nonprofit corporation because at some point in time, if Facebook decides to throw a group off, you don't have anything, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we know that that was a big deal. We have enormous interactions on our group. We have, like, in 60 days, about 80,000 interactions on our group, which is unbelievable.
Right.
Um, and so back last year, and I didn't even understand the immensity of it. Last year in June, I was invited to be at the Facebook First Community Group Summit, okay? And I thought, well, some weird little Facebook thing. I mean, everybody's invited to it. No, there was only 3,000 people there, and Mark Zuckerberg spoke. I missed it.
Oh,
Can't
geez.
believe it. So there was nobody else in chiropractic invited. Nobody was invited. I looked at the people in the group that I was invited into, and now what's happened is there's a lot of community groups that Facebook saw, and they went inside of they must have seen the metrics, or like whatever they want to encourage is the communities. They know we're all doctors looking at the same thing, but but if I look at my metrics, we've got, like, out of, we're well over 6,000 of the women are active in 60 days. Like, people are on it all the time, sometimes multiple times a day, learning things, growing things, together, learning how to help things in their life. In other words, as Rosemary Batansky, who is the president I chose of the group, she says, women talk. Women chiropractors didn't have a lot of ways to connect with each other, and so that it has really surprised us, I think, by it. But the intensity of it, and we want to keep it pure, as pure as we possibly can, so that the women know that we're in there serving them, out of our own hearts. We're serving, Dr. Rosemary and I, we're spending, oh my goodness, 30, 40 hours a week of our time working on women chiropractors besides our own practices and families. We just work really hard. My board gave us all the startup money. We put our own money into that group. So now we have other people that are helping us, sponsors and so forth, so we can get that group going. But it just really, really just took us by surprise. And I don't think the outside of the Women Chiropractors group even understands what a incredible group it is.
What do you think makes it so uniquely successful? Like, what do you think has got women engaging in that group more than other groups, for example?
Right. I think the idea that we keep it, that they know they're safe,
Right?
that it is a sacred space. Um, I think I think there's a lot of the heart of it in there. We don't have any hidden agendas in there at all.
Right.
And we don't let any meanness as well. No meanness in there at all. And so if someone's going to be mean and start calling names or whatever, we'll pull it down, or if it's a comment or anything like that, because I think, I was watching the other day, there was a comment about Dr. Dr. Fab being
Right?
on the doctors, right? And I watched in one group that was open to everybody, males and females in our profession, and I saw the one in ours. And so the conversation in one group got totally shut down because one guy was bashing Dr. Fab. And whatever you think about it, it doesn't matter. What happens was it shut down the conversation because someone was already saying, well, you're an idiot for agreeing that this is a good thing. And in our group, we had 200 and some likes, and the comments we didn't even have to edit. They just they just said whatever they felt, but it wasn't like they weren't bashing, nobody was bashing anybody. And so I think that's what women appreciate, because then you get into some of these groups, it's really, you don't want to say anything because you're like, they're going to rip me apart.
Right.
So and we have enough time in our lives trying to balance all of these things without being afraid to state our opinion.
Mm-hmm. Now you've done, I mean, this is, it's so exciting and it's fantastic and it supports so many women. I want to talk a little bit, Matt, now about how, I mean, how did you rebuild your life so quickly? And then you talked about, doubling your practice and whatnot. I'm sure there was some great tips that you have there because let's face it, a lot of women or men who are listening to the show are going to be possibly facing hardship at some point in their life, right?
Yes, absolutely. I did. The first thing I did was start to meet with like-minded women that I knew that could help. And then I did find a good coach because I needed someone local, someone that had made it in my area, and that was Dr. Barbara Eaton. So she helped me out with that, and she helped me grow with that. And like I said, then I started to meet with my other chiropractic girlfriends. I went out to lunch. Literally, if you go out to lunch with someone regularly, every 2 weeks, every month, every week, whatever you do, you'll be shocked at how fast your practice is going to grow. I saw the biggest professions in the U.S. grow by them meeting 3 times a week. My dad and these guys met together, and these are giants of the profession that helped found colleges and all that. They're just huge, huge practices. But that really is a secret sauce, to be honest with you. Find some people that you can get along with, that you can just learn from, respect each other's territories, have a good time, and you start feeding off of each other's energy. I saw some amazing things happen that way, and I just kept thinking, I want that for me, because it just keeps a grin on your face. It answers questions very quickly, and it just gives you a little bit of ease in your life that you're pointed in the right direction. We encourage each other, and so that was really my secret sauce.
Was building relationships with other chiropractors locally, or are you talking about just other
Yeah,
person?
locally.
Yeah.
Locally, that was just really find some people in your area. I know in Women Chiropractors, we're just starting to launch our community groups, and sure enough, the first one that we had here in Michigan, in Metro Detroit, the women all got together and they were just thrilled out of their mind because, like I said, we're not allowing judgment. We're not getting into technique bashing. We're not going to do anything. Everything we do is in a positive note that way. There's
Yeah.
other groups that do other things, but we will not allow that in our group. We're not going to get into that. We're all about building each other up. And I think that is the secret and the power of our group, to be honest with you. We're hoping that will spread because everybody's going to win. Chiropractic's going to win. People are going to win. The doctors are going to win. The families are going to win when we're moving ahead in the profession, So that's the secret sauce. That really is a secret sauce. There's so much stuff, by the way, on the internet that even when I started back to really build the practice in 2006, when I had to take it all over from scratch. I mean, there's just so much out there, more than it was where you just really had to scratch and figure things out. Yeah, there's just tons more.
Yeah. Now, what keeps you so, I mean, obviously I hear it in your voice. I know what keeps you fired up to work with women chiropractors, but as a chiropractor, what keeps you so inspired every day to, I know you're only practicing part-time. You got a large family. You've got to come from a chiropractic family, but there's got to be something in you that keeps you lit up every day to keep pursuing and giving as much as you are.
Yeah, chiropractic. I was talking to one of my cousins the other day, and she says, we don't have to be like pumped up and say chiropractic works. It's just breathing to us. And I think, coming from that background, we had the privilege of growing up from baby onward, is to see that and to have a patient come in and you realize they don't understand that. I don't have to go to a seminar to get excited about chiropractic. It's just part of me. It's hard to understand, but it's just like breathing. It's like, oh my gosh, you don't know? You don't know that chiropractic can help you? Let me tell you about how this works. And then people get excited because I'm excited. And of course, the mission of Women Chiropractors also is very exciting to me because I think it multiplies. I can go one to many now at that point in time. If anything that I've learned in my life can help someone else go along farther and faster in their life, in their profession, I am more than happy to share that. I am really thrilled to share that.
Yeah, I think it's a pay it forward, right? It's how I mean, and I feel really, I listen to you share so many different things, and I feel like you're talking about my life story in so many ways. I didn't have 7 kids, I don't have any grandkids. However, I also had to rebuild my life after going through divorce, and in that process, figure out what kind of chiropractor am I going to be? What kind of practice do I really truly want? And in that process, I relied on so many people around me, and like you said, built relationships. And those relationships, still to this day, are some of the foundations of my purpose, and they fire me up and they keep me grounded, and they bring me back into balance if I need it at times too. So I'm with you there 100%. But when you were getting back on your feet, in 2006, 7 kids, I mean, let's face it, a lot of families have 1 or 2 kids or 3 kids. You had a
Yeah.
large family and you had to start over over again in a practice. Can you walk us through like how, and I know so many women are wondering the same question, right? Like, how did you manage, your time? Because you grew exponentially while raising 7 kids.
Right. I prayed a lot.
Okay.
So let's just be honest. Um,
Did you have
I,
support? Did you have like ways that you blocked your time so that you were mom sometimes and Dr. Cyndy other times?
well, let me tell you a quick thing through my day. So I didn't have all 7 at home. 4 were already out and about at that point. However, they were also you know how you're at when you're in college or getting out of college and you're kind of shaky? So
Yep.
they were all going through all that stuff and as well. So it wasn't like I wasn't concerned about them too. It was they were there, but I had 3 at home. I had 2 little ones. And so my daughter was living with me for a while, and then my sister, Dr. Linda Atkinson, lived with me for a while. So, but then I was about by myself with the 2 girls, through some of this. So, but what I would do is I would get up in the morning and get them to wherever they had to go, school or daycare, whatever had to happen. And then, and I set my hours so that they were already in school because I was fortunate to have my own practice. And that's a whole long story how I ended up with my practice back. That was amazing. There was a miracle right there. I can tell you so many amazing things that happened to me. It was just, I have, by the way, to give a shout out to the Chiropractic Credit Union. I had no credit, no money, owed tons of money. It was frightening. Anyway, the chiropractic credit union, someone actually gave me a car. They gave me a car that ran. And the chiropractic credit union said, look, we'll give you $8,500. And I somehow knew within myself if I had the $8,500 that it would last me, I could like squeak through for 3 months with my expenses and, house mortgage and all that stuff from one point to the other. If I could make it, I could make it there, because I was working for another chiropractor in the meantime and was not, it was just, it was just an incredible series of immense events. If you've ever not experienced miracles like that, you would just be shocked how
Mm-hmm.
amazing everything is. So I, so then, so the chiropractic credit union gave me that money to get through this, and I was frightened. I was scared out of my mind. I'm telling you honestly, I'm thinking I'm going to lose my house. I don't know, am I going to be able to take care of my children? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? And not only that, I hadn't been practicing very heavily or on my own before that. So I had to figure out a lot of things again. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of things I was a little rusty on because I wasn't the primary doctor running the practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure all those things out too. But anyway, so, I was able to plan my time. So the kids were in school. I had enough time to get to work. And then on the way to work, which was only a mile away from the office, I would just go in and I'd say some affirmations, and then I would smile. No matter what I was feeling like, people know that they came in so I could care for them. They didn't come to care for me. And so I walked in that practice where my husband at that time, or my ex-husband, was a primary person. And I spent an entire year almost saying, what happened to the other doctor? Someone would come in and I would just say something nicely to them. And then I'd say, all right, let's take care of you today because that's what you're here for, right? I would turn the conversation around and I would smile. And you know what? When you start smiling, you feel better and it gives you a good break and it gives you from all the drama at home. And then I had a long lunch hour. And so if the kids were still at school, I could come home and crash and take a nap. Because to be honest with you, you suffer some depression at that time too. You're just overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do what you can do for self-care and you go on from there. That's what you do. You do the best you can and then you go a little bit more and you go a little bit more. And that's all I did. That's All I had was little steps. Anything that I had, I did it. Any little pearl that I could grab onto, I did it. And then what happened was the patients started telling each other, and they started referring people in, and they were so excited that I was happy to see them. And pretty soon, we just kept growing, and I was just so surprised. I surpassed all the records within, I think, 3 years of what my ex-husband and I did together. And in a depression, we were recovering from the depression. We were probably in a recession at that point in time. So that's what I did, And then I came home at night, and it was hard to, be cheerful for the kids and just do what you can. I sent them to bed early. I mean, literally, I think I just crashed and burned. I'm just being honest with you. People may have been able to walk out from all this stuff and not be so upset, but I had a hard time. I got through it and did a lot of I had other things I did, but I really didn't join a lot of, at that time I couldn't do a lot of outside things. The kids
No.
were still suffering, they were still struggling. I was struggling, and I just did the best I could with where I was at. And guess what? You just keep taking a walk. That way you just keep going and you just keep going, and pretty soon I was out of it. And so anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm happily remarried, and life is great. I'm really
Yeah.
thankful.
It's you're reminding me, God, you're bringing back memories for me because I can recall feeling, so many different emotions, and I think that's any divorce is an emotional roller coaster,
Yes.
and it doesn't matter the circumstances. There's moments of sadness and anxiety and fear and depression and excitement and nostalgia. Like there's so many different emotions, and I know that so many listeners, male or female, can relate to that. And in so many situations, your emotional state, your personal life can absolutely affect your practice negatively. But there's also the situation where, when you put your hands on people and you're really engaged with what you're doing as a chiropractor and you love it the way you love it and the way I love it. I felt the same way. When I went into my office, it didn't matter to me what I was going through in my divorce and personal life and my kids and being a single mom. I always felt grounded and I always felt like I was in the right place. And being in my practice made me happier more days than not because of the experience that I had there. And all you can do is as you said, put one foot in front of the other, and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
trust that things are going to work out when you're aligned with the path that you're supposed to be on. So thank you for your honesty there. I know that's something that a lot of docs and can relate to. Feelings like that.
I think when it comes back to the question of why the site is so successful, because I'm more than happy to share not only the highs in life and the successes, but the fact that when things really are not so great, um, we want to share how we got out of that too, right? I want to
Yeah.
help someone out. It's so much easier if there's someone there ahead of you saying, "Hey, you're up that far of the mountain. Okay, you know that far. Come and follow me. Walk around that boulder. Don't go down that path. Go this way, not that way." You
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so that really was my vision and still is my vision with that. So, yeah, you can do it. I think also I think my situation is so extreme. I hope it encourages other people who go, "She did it. She had 7 kids. She did it." Yeah,
Yeah.
she did it in the work. It's like you want to look at every bad circumstance. I had it. Well, maybe there's other ones, but it
But
was
it
a
is.
pretty,
It's a reality
yeah.
check, right? It's a understanding like we all have it inside ourselves to either rise up or to let your circumstances fail, and your life to crumble in front of you. But we all have it within ourselves to pick ourselves back up and to keep taking that one little, even if it's a baby step, it's a baby step one way and then the next way. And it's just, that's the way it goes, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it really is.
So you've got lots of great things. You've talked about so many things that have inspired you. You're doing things to inspire other docs. You've got a couple events coming up that I want to make sure we get to. So let's talk about first. You have the Women Chiropractors group has a convention coming up in the fall, and listeners, don't forget there'll be tons of links in the show notes so that you can click on and find out more about what's happening. But why don't you tell us a bit more about what's coming up in November with the convention?
Oh my gosh, so excited about this convention. First Women Chiropractors Convention anywhere. So it's historic. That's just a standalone. There's been separate women chiropractors events linked to something, but this is our own thing. And we started it. It's going to be we're limiting it to 250 doctors and students, women chiropractors and students. But when I was thinking about the convention, I thought when I had that $20 that I talked about before, and when I didn't have much money, how could I come to one of these events? And I don't just want to say women chiropractors is just for people who haven't made it big, because let me tell you, my board members have done amazingly well, and they are beyond what anybody even wants. Several of them have just the dream life, the dream world, and all that stuff that so many of us want. But I want it to be for all women chiropractors so they can come. So I thought, what would make me come to a convention? Um, so I think I would have wanted to come because of the fellowship, but I thought, let's put it in October when the kids are back in school for a while, so you're not interrupting programs. So check. I want to have it where I can write off a vacation. Check. So let's go into Orlando. Check. I looked at the timeline and the flights, the price of flights. They were inexpensive. Check. I wanted to stay in a really great hotel. So guess what? We're at the Gaylord, which is unbelievable. It's where people in Orlando vacation. The Gaylord, it's a unbelievable resort. It's 5 acres under glass. It's just, I can't even tell you how amazing this place is. In fact, the outside, they have 3 water park rides in their like pool area, like legit. They've got a flow rider. And it's crazy. The smaller, when we were there looking at it, the smaller of the two domes had a 70-foot boat restaurant in there with native Floridian like turtles and stuff in this huge pond. And that didn't even take off the whole smaller dome. That's how big it is. And then the other part, the big dome, half of it was being used for Cirque du Soleil at the time. So if that gives you an idea of the scale of the place, it's unbelievable. So check, and then I wanted to keep it reasonable. So the Gaylord Palms is $179 a night, which is unbelievable because it's normally $359 a night. And so we got an amazing deal. And that includes the resort fee, by the way, gals. So that was a big check. And it's right by Disney. So if you're a mom or you're not, what happened was, and this was a great thing, Disney contacted me, and the best deal I've ever seen on Disney tickets in 20 years came up. They're giving us, like, you could go for 2 days plus a water park or golfing for $188, which is unbelievable. You just can't get that deal anywhere. So that's really cool. Or you can even go to Disney for $59, and they have transportation from the resort. So that was another big check.
You've
So
totally
then,
thought about this event like a mom.
absolutely,
Like,
right?
what does everyone need? It's like you've planned our whole itinerary, our whole trip for us there. It's great.
And do we have babysitting available? Absolutely. Babysitting by Disney. The Disney people are the people. So you can contact them and while you're attending classes, you can do that. And then I thought, okay, so Rosemary Vitansky, who's the president again, and when we started to get sponsors, we started saying, and of course the whole Me Too movement happened. So now the highlight is on women and how women are treated in the marketplace and all that stuff. So that really helped create even more of a tsunami, right, for all this stuff. So she talked to a company, actually contacted us, Red Medics contacted us. They're going to give away, get this, drum roll, free digital x-ray machine. We're giving away a free digital x-ray machine.
Wow.
Can you believe that? That's what everyone says. Wow. But that's not all. That's not all. David Jackson from CLA is giving away an insight.
Wow.
We're talking 250 people. Isn't that amazing?
That's incredible.
And so sponsors are giving away. We're having a couple meals are being paid for, lunch and dinner. Bobby Dosher is coming, and we're going to honor her. Her in Oklahaven. Children's charity. We're having a Breaking the Glass Ceiling event there. Talking about we're going to gather as many of them that are free, women chiropractors who have broken glass ceilings in chiropractic, for a roundtable discussion. But then I thought, we need continuing ed credits, because a lot of them couldn't get away unless they have to get continuing ed credits, right? So guess what? We have 14 of them. And so that's available through Palmer Women's Institute, which Palmer heard my story, and they actually founded a women's institute in great detail because of that. And so they're supporting us on that end, and we hope that whole chiropractic college women's movement spreads through every single college. We'd love to see it to go to every chiropractic college. So that's really awesome. So they're helping us with that. So now you've got everything, a reasonable deductible vacation with amazing Disney benefits. And then we went to, we were doing a tasting of the food. It turns out, I didn't know this, that the Gaylord is between a Marriott and a Ritz-Carlton. And for chiropractors, clean food is a big deal, right? They
Absolutely.
locally source and GMO free as much as they possibly can there. And this guy that is the head chef there for the last 11 months is from the Ritz-Carlton and opened 22 Ritz-Carlton restaurants. So the free meals that are available are from this restaurant. And so not only that, it's close to a strip where you can, if you want to go buy stuff off site if you wanted to, it's, 2 miles away. So if you want to buy your own thing, I asked him if you could bring food in if you needed to. They don't care. They said, absolutely, do whatever you'd like. So hopefully we hit every single thing. It's luxurious, it's beautiful, it's fun, it's a great getaway. And then the speakers. Let's start to talk about the speakers. We started to go through everything way back when I started with Amazing Balancing Act of the Women Chiropractors, And so we have technique, just for women chiropractors. And we contacted every big time women chiropractor pretty much that you can think of, and they're all excited. But the big deal is Jeannie Ohm came. Jeannie Ohm is coming, and she is so thrilled. And let me tell you, we offered to pay expenses from some of our sponsor and our membership fees. You know what? She says, absolutely not. She said, absolutely not. I want to support you guys in the best way I can. And so that is just one of so many speakers. And if you want to find out more about it, you need to register because this thing is going to sell out, don't you think?
Yeah. I'm marveling here at what's the word I'm thinking of? I love your energy for it. I know how much work it takes to put on a massive event like this. And I just love the enthusiasm and the excitement. And you guys have thought about every detail you could possibly imagine.
Oh, we have a kids program too, a chiropractic kids program. That one of the big reasons I became a chiropractor is when I was growing up, we had a chiropractic kids program, and we're having one there.
So again, you thought about this as not only a chiropractor, as a businesswoman, as a mom, as a woman who wants to have fun and get together with some amazing other people. I think you guys have certainly put a ton of energy and thought into this already, and I'm sure it's only going to build as it gets closer to the date. So listeners, be sure to click on the links and find out more. And what are the dates for this, Cyndy?
It's October 12 to 14.
Okay.
And it's in Orlando.
Great. So you heard it here, docs, listeners. It's going to be a great event. And like most of the things that you guys are up to, it'll be lots of inspiration and connection and lots of good fun.
Oh my gosh, we have so many amazing things. If you like Oprah's favorite things, just keep thinking on that vibe. That's kind of the whole thing that we're doing with it. We want to do the convention in a different way. It's just going to rock your socks off.
Got me excited. You got me thinking about it. I'm going to have to check my calendar and see who I can round up to attend with me. It sounds like it's going to be a great event.
Oh my gosh.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about here today that you want to make sure, listeners hear from you about? Something that keeps coming up for me when I listen to you, the leap you took with starting the women's chiropractic group and rebuilding your practice is that risk, right? Risk has been part of your life and you've had to take risks.
Yes.
What would be your tip for people dealing with adversity or needing to take a risk or needing to get outside their comfort zone? We talked about baby steps, I know, but how did you create that for yourself? Like, what would be your tip about just take the leap and do it and know that it's gonna work out?
Yeah. I think you have to have a clear vision of where you want to go with your life. I had a clear vision of where I wanted to be with my life, and where I was didn't match it. And so it's so much easier if you can envision where you'd like to go. Do a vision board, do something like that for yourself so you can just start dreaming again. Because dreaming is really tough. when you're in the middle of hard circumstances. And so to me, that's really the issue. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew where I wanted to be. And there's all sorts of delightful surprises along the way, as well as challenges. So what I would highly recommend for you is that you do that for yourself. Take care of yourself, and don't be afraid to risk some. I mean, it's not always easy, but if it's towards your where you're going, it's always worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Nope, except I'm just really thrilled to have you all. If you're not a member of our free Women Chiropractors Facebook group, you can look us up on Facebook. It is a closed group. You can look us up on womenchiropractors.org. And there's an article about us in American Chiropractor in February. They devoted about half the issue, well, it seemed like it, a lot to it. And we also have a membership where people who want to give back to the group are going to do that, because it costs money to do all this. But we're just so thrilled. We're teaming up with sponsors and colleges, and we just really want to reach out to our segment of chiropractors. I want one quick thing. One of the things that is my heart was so many women who didn't find the way that I had. They didn't have the privilege of growing up in chiropractic like I did. And so we started the first reentry group for women chiropractors. And so we're getting ready to successfully graduate them into the work world. Some of them are already doing very, very well. And so it's something that we have that's for people who are out of chiropractic college 2 years or more, and they're struggling, to fill in those holes, kind of like I was with technique or this or that. Let me tell you, we're here for you. We're taking applications for next fall's class. So if you want to do that, we'll have a link, not right now, but just keep on the Women Chiropractors page and you'll find that pretty soon. And we also are announcing our scholarships. We have a scholarship for a reentry person, someone who has been out of practice for a while, who has issues. That's just, they don't have access to student loans. And also, June 5th is the second annual Women Chiropractors Appreciation Day. We have our own day, so it's the second one this year. We applied for it last year, and we have it.
Awesome. We will have to make sure that we all celebrate in solidarity on that day.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. But listeners, be sure to connect with Dr. Cyndy and find out everything that the Women's Chiropractic Group has going on, including their convention. As I said earlier, all of that information is there in the show notes for you if you just want to click through. And let's stay connected and stay inspired with other amazing chiropractic women. Thanks again for your time, Cyndy.
You are more than welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being here today. If you like this show, please share it with another chiropractor and connect them with this message. We are always better off together than we are alone. If you haven't yet subscribed, head on over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes, and don't forget to rate and review the show while you're there. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook, and find out more about today's guests and all things Rockstar Doctor Life by clicking in those show notes. See you next time.